Good morning, good morning, good morning, beautiful people. It is Tuesday, September 12th, 2023. Um, and we are back at it officially with a new season of News in Motion. Yesterday was our season premiere after a 2 month break, even though it didn't feel like 2 months, but it was a 2 month break. But we are back, we are better than ever, and we are heading in a new direction. Thank you to all of our viewers, all of our audio and podcast listeners as well for tuning in and turning those dials to Hot 97 News in Motion. Whether you are tuning in through Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, please let us know where you're tuning in from and what state you're tuning in from as well. If you are ready for some news in motion, leave a heart, a like. Be sure to share this with a couple of friends. Let them know that you're tuning into some news in motion. For some relevant commentary and aggregated news. I see Marion Jackson tuning in through YouTube. Good morning, Miss Deborah Sneed, who is tuning in through Facebook. Good morning, Miss Deborah Johnson, who is tuning in through Facebook as well. And good morning to you, Miss Kim Edmondson, tuning in through YouTube. So, without further delay, y'all know what we do here. Let's get ready for some news in motion.
News in motion.
What's up, everyone? It is our second day back from our amazing break. Yesterday, we kicked off the relaunch of News in Motion, and I must say it was amazing. We had a great time. There was a ton of participation. All of you loved the new format, so we're going to keep that rolling. Isaiah has already shouted out a few people, so I'm going to keep going on the list. I see Jacqueline's in here, Rosanna Bivens, I see Robert Holman, Shardinia, my brother Lewis. Let's see, we have Evolve Production Incorporated. Good morning. Happy Tuesday to you. So glad that you're joining us on YouTube as well. We have a lot that we're going to share. Remember this whole new format that our goal is to put the spotlight back on you and the community needs that you may have. We were centering everything. We're looking at everything. We're giving you food for thought. We are weaving in the inspirational message throughout. We'll see how that goes. But just so much. And I'm so excited that you decided to come back for day 2 of all of this. Again, we want to make sure we're giving you something different. You may see some overlapping and some crossover when it comes to your local and national news. But if we do that, we're going to bring it to you from a different direction and we're going to go a little bit deeper. We will have 1 to 2 main articles, main topics. We will still give you some headline news as well. We just want to have fun. We want to empower you, equip you, and engage with you. So that's why the chat feature is real important, whether you are watching live or the replay. If you will participate, there'll be times I'll say, okay, y'all, it's time to get chat ready so we can go dive into the chat and have conversations that way as well. I see Jeffrey Allen James coming in here. What's up, Davia? Good morning to you. I see you, Adrian. Good morning. Y'all, we had a blast yesterday. I must say that. Today is Tuesday, September the 12th. 2023. And again, I am your host for anyone new to this platform. And I just want to welcome everyone. My name is Gail Dudley. Whether you are on Facebook or LinkedIn, to YouTube, to any of our podcast platforms. Now, I heard from some of you on the podcast platform, you will have a delay. That's why I tried to share that with you all yesterday. You will have a delay, and you will also have sometimes some commercials that come out of. We could not work around that. So we're seeing how that's going to go with that new format. We'll see what's happening, and we may have to have you come back over here. We see you, Regina Shorts. Kim Edmondson says she loves the new music. We realized some of you missed that yesterday. So somewhere in the middle, we're going to play it again just so that you can have an idea of what it sounds like all the way through. You may first look at it and say, oh, this is the same music. But if you just pay attention to it, it switches up. Y'all do us a favor, as Isaiah was asking already. Call some friends, encourage some people. Go ahead and share and like it as well. We understand you don't want to share everything to your page. We get it. But if it's something that you think is of value, go ahead and share it. Grab your coffee, tea, or your mimosa, and we're going to get started. In case you missed yesterday, we want to cover our updated mission statement, but we will not go through the 7 points again today. You can go back to yesterday's segment and check it out. But News in Motion operates as an aggregated media platform, which means we're pulling news from all directions to bring it to you, dedicated to fostering citizen engagement and civic life. And we do this by delivering headline news, voter education, and encouraging voter participation. It serves as a catalyst for action with an uplifting message, which means the inspirational message, you will hear it throughout the entire broadcast. We aim to instill a sense of empowerment and motivation. This grassroots movement, and it is a movement, has become a movement, seeks to inspire individuals through informative and engaging content, encouraging them to take meaningful action in their communities and contribute to positive change. Y'all know the last one I had by memory. I got to learn this one, okay? So I'll be reading this as I'm going through. Kim Edmondson said, hit the like button. I love y'all. Thank y'all. So, y'all, let's jump into some headline news. And as we're jumping into this headline news this morning, I have a question for you. And this question is this. For those of you who are Christians or who have read the Bible, you come across a scripture where Mary is saying to Jesus, I just want your word fulfilled within me. So my question that I have for you that I want us to think about as we're going through today's news is this. What do you want God to fulfill that word within you? What does that look like for you? That's number one. For those of you who may not be followers of Jesus, the question I have for you is this when it comes to the inspirational message. What are you going to do today that's going to make a difference in the life of somebody else? I want y'all to keep thinking about that as I give y'all some of these headline news. All right, y'all, Bloomberg is reporting that Morocco's government pledged to help survivors of the earthquake on this past Friday that killed more than 2,700 people, including financial assistance for the reconstructions of homes and schools. Now, get this, y'all. They say the work ahead includes rebuilding. I want y'all to hear this number, at least 30,000 houses, as well as 500 schools, hospitals, roads, and other infrastructure. So if you were able to assist, and if you had a calling on your life, and we need to stop thinking that we only have one calling, or that calling that is given to us is a calling or the assignment that's with us for the rest of our lives. Sometimes that changes depending upon the day, the time, the season, and so forth. So if you were called into a particular season or space right now, what would you do? How would you help assist the Morocco's government? Or maybe you have family and friends that are there. Or maybe you have a business or some influence that you can help those who are in Morocco. We can also say the same for Maui. We can also say same for Florida or any place that's been hit. I shared with y'all yesterday about the numbers of tornadoes and hurricanes and wildfires. Could y'all believe all those wildfires I was sharing with you on yesterday? And again, if you missed yesterday, just go back and check it out. I gave you nothing but content on that. So, what would that look like? How would that word be fulfilled? Also, from Bloomberg, a rising share of U.S. workers are worried that technology will make their jobs obsolete. Yeah, that's happening. Y'all, driven almost entirely by growing fears among college educated employees. They're saying about 22% of the US workers now fear that they could be sidelined by technology, up from 15%. That was only 2 years ago, according to a survey from the Gallup poll. Even with that, if you have a purpose, a call, or assignment, would you allow fear to take control of all the technology? You know, we see AI that's coming out, and so many people are talking about AI. We have Google Meetup, we have Google Docs, we have robots. I was up on the Ohio State University campus visiting Adrian last week, and I was just looking at the number of people, and we were talking about the robots that are taking over because they're delivering food all throughout the campus. And it's like, wow, are those robots replacing people? And what about the pay? And what does that look like? And how do we rise above it? Yeah, these are questions that we can even ask our representatives when we're looking at, okay, what about economic development? What about business development? What does this look like? Remember, one of the 7 things I mentioned yesterday, I said, I promise you, we will get on your last nerves when it comes to voting. So even with that voter participation piece there, first, you got to make sure you register. Hopefully, everyone that's tuning in here has registered to vote. But that participation piece of it and the town hall piece, what does that look like for all of you? Kim Edmondson says housing. Yeah, housing. That's where you would focus, and that is a heartbeat of yours for sure. Thank you, Dr. Antoinette. Good morning to you. I see you, Hester. Good morning to you. What's up, Stephanie Burbridge Hall? Good morning to you. Then I'm gonna move on to Speaker McCarthy, because we're talking about this technology and what's happening there. But Speaker McCarthy is currently balancing the possible government shutdown. They're looking at October the 1st. And then he's also trying to balance President Biden's impeachment, which I have no idea what they're trying to impeach him for, that whole inquiry as the House has returned. So here's my question. Again, get ready for the chat feature. Now, if you're listening to audio and you're driving, you can't do that. You have to come back and engage later. But what would you do if you were a voting member of Congress, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, or maybe you're even in the middle? How would you vote as a member of Congress when it comes to the government shutdown and or a possible impeachment of the current president? What would that look like for you? Or would you say, enough of this? We have people out here with student loans. And by the way, y'all, about 4.8 million applications have been received for the SAVE plan, which we'll talk about that later this week. But that's out there. Or would you say, let's talk about the constituents who are still facing homelessness or food insecurity? Or let's talk about those who are facing human trafficking or slave trade. Let's talk about the elderly, the nursing homes, which we're going to get to in a few moments. Would you say, okay, let's pay more attention to the borders and immigration? Let's look at the gun laws. Where would you focus on, and how would you vote? And the reason I'm raising this question today, because a lot of this is on the line with this upcoming election. I know you're saying, Gail, you're too soon. No, we're not. No, we're not. They're already talking about 2025 and 2026. If we're not talking about 2023, meaning this November, and 2024, we're behind. We're behind. So these are things we need to start asking ourselves. All right. So, y'all, now for the spotlight story today, y'all get ready to chat. We got to get ready to chat. Today, we're going to talk about nursing homes. And I need you to put on your critical thinking hat today as I go through some of this. So, this was a fact sheet. This is the fact sheet from the White House. And it is the Biden-Harris administration. And I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, you want to pay attention to this. Nursing homes that endanger resident safety. Now, the nursing home industry receives nearly 100 billion, that's with a B, annually from American taxpayers. They say yet too many nursing homes are chronically understaffed within the facilities, which results in poor, substandard care that endangers residents. They go on to say that residents who suffer avoidable injuries like falls and bed sores. They talk about the number of employees that they're down. They're talking about the number of people who are being turned away from Medicare and Medicaid. Then they go on to talk about the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, which is CMS, is also proposing a rule to set a federal floor for staffing levels so that nursing home owners could not slash staffing to unsafe levels. They're talking about having 24/7 care, having physicians and nurses on staff at all times, having aides, having emergency staff and people. But they're saying all of that currently is almost non-existent. Now, I have several questions I want us to talk about when we're looking at a town hall meeting. Where will we go? What are some of the questions we would ask? Here are a few questions. Now, and I wanted to go deep in this. I know that's one of our points from yesterday, so that we're not just overlapping what's already out there. We want to go deeper. Marion Jackson says, enough of the personal agendas and start to pay attention to your constituents. Absolutely. So here are a few questions I want you to ponder and consider. And I want to again encourage all of us to attend town hall meetings. And that first question, do you believe these are questions we can be asking our representatives? Do you believe that the annual funding of nearly 100 billion for nursing home industries is sufficient to ensure high quality care for residents? Why or why not? And wait for them to answer that question. But even in addition to that, there's nearly $100 billion of American taxpayer money. Where is it going? What is it paying for? Who's controlling this? And then another question we can ask, who's regulating the regulators? And I have some experience with this, meaning with my mom, and you all know we've been talking about with my mom being in a nursing facility. And by the way, here's something else we need to change our thought process with. Stop thinking that a skilled nursing facility is only for the elderly. There's not necessarily a pediatric area, but we're talking possibly 13, 14, 15 and older. So someone who may have a disability, someone who may need physical therapy, rehab, they transfer from the hospitals to a skilled nursing facility. So it's not just for the elderly. I want to make sure I am highlighting this. But so some of the questions that I asked when I was reading through this fact sheet was, okay, but you cut off so many people from the insurance and so forth, and they have to become self-pay because of their income bracket or because of their past or what type of insurance they're covering. So if you're having nearly annual $100 billion, where is it going? And why aren't you staffing the people? And why aren't you paying them what they're worth? Here's a question I have. I'm just playing around, y'all, but y'all, this is how I go with it. And I have this question. I said, can we start, since we are the taxpayers, can we start demanding where the money is spent and how it is spent? This is the money that we've earned. Can we not put some sort of standards around our money? And this is why I'm saying we should go to these town hall meetings and ask these questions. Deborah Johnson says, I want to know what is being done with the money and who makes sure that it is used for the betterment of the residents. Mike Nicholson says their pockets. Dr. Antoinette says, check the rates of pay for persons who provide care in that industry and ask yourself, would you do that job for that amount of money? Great question. Great question. And these are the types of questions we should be asking. And here's another thing. How many people are actually into option trading and they're trading from these options and they're making billions from their pockets from that stock market? Something I'm putting out there. What are some potential consequences of chronic understaffing in nursing homes? To take the time, critical thinking, and think through that. And how do you think this affects the well-being of the residents? How many residents are soiled because no one's there to help them because they're unable to get up and go to the restroom? And then are there specific policies or regulations that should be in place to ensure that taxpayer funds allocated to nursing homes result in better care for the residents? Here's a few more questions I want to ask, and I want to go through more of the fact sheet. How can we strike a balance between providing adequate staffing levels in nursing homes while also being fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars? There's that question. And another one, what role do you think public awareness and advocacy play in addressing the issues of understaffing and improving care in nursing homes? One more just for the heck of it. How can we ensure transparency and accountability in how nursing homes allocate and use the funds they receive from taxpayers? I got one more. Do you believe there should be more public dialogue and involvement in shaping policies and practices related to nursing home care and funding. Mike Nicholson says a lot of our problem lies with us constantly supporting people that look like us but don't think like us. Great point, Mike. Thanks for putting that out there. Lori says, hi, Lori. That's a hard one to answer because you don't want to just shut it down because that would affect the residents. Give fines that could increase with each infraction. That's a great one as well. We need to stay the course when we're looking at this. We need to stay the course because let me share this with you. Based on a multifaceted approach aimed at determining the minimum level and type of staffing needs to ensure long-term care facilities have workforce sufficient for resident safety and well-being, CMS is proposing a rule to set the federal floor for staffing levels. I want y'all to hear this. And I'm taking my time. This is our spotlight story today. I'm taking our time through this because this is serious. And this is what many people are running on their platform for this upcoming election. It's not a huge election, but every election is as important as a general election. So if you have an election in your city, make sure you go out and vote in November. I believe it's November the 7th. And then this is what is going to be on the platform for the presidential candidates. So don't turn your blind eye to this, y'all. This is serious. You never know if you or your loved one may end up in a nursing skilled facility. We pray not, but we never know. So we should be armed with this information. So this is what they're proposing. They have three things here. Number one, nursing facilities must have registered nurse on site around the clock. And I would agree with that. Again, using my own mom as an example, there was a time we were looking for someone who had some sort of skill, some sort of license, and there was no one to be found the entire weekend. It's almost as if they're there Monday through Friday and they disappeared Saturday and Sunday. Well, couldn't something happen on Saturday and Sunday? Let's just say that. So they're asking for that. The academic literature has repeatedly found that having a trained professional on site 24/7 is important for improving nursing home safety. Number two, in addition to having at least one registered full-time nursing, the nursing home must provide at least 0.55 hours, they're saying 33 minutes per resident day of care from a registered nurse. So they're saying at least 33 minutes each person within that facility has access and that opportunity with that skilled nurse. And then number three, they're saying nurse aides are especially critical to safe and quality care. These workers help residents with basic tasks of daily living like eating, bathing, and going to the restroom. Under the proposal, nursing homes must provide 2.45 hours, that's 2 hours and 27 minutes per resident day of care from nurses' aides, exceeding standards in all states. Now, I want y'all to hear this. This is why I wanted to read that line. 2.45 hours, which is 2 hours and 27 minutes, would exceed the current standard per day. So, y'all know I'm nosy. I had to look it up. Well, what's the standard currently? The standard currently, are y'all ready for this? Are y'all ready for this? The standard currently is 43 minutes per day. So, okay, wait a minute. You only going to bathe them once? What if they have an accident? They got to wait until the next day. What's going on here? Uh, they're only going to get one meal. How are you breaking that up? Which also answers some of the questions as to why people, because then I started going through nursing homes. You know, I'm nosy and I'm looking up reviews at different nursing homes in different areas of our viewers, which is a wide range, looking at some of the comments and some of the complaints where there were people saying, my loved one only received breakfast and it was cold cereal. We were told they were understaffed, so they could not get other meals out. What? I found out that my loved one was only drinking Ensure. What? I found out that my loved one was had a soiled bed for more than 4 hours. What? I learned that my loved one, it just kept going and going and going and going and going. Well, now we know why. So they're saying, okay, here's the fact sheet. Let's do something about this. Let's look at it and let's grow from here. Y'all, there's more here, but I want to get to the vaccine when it comes to COVID, because I thought this was important, and we heard about it during the height of COVID, but I want to bring it back around. They were talking about that the number of people, and I won't give the actual number, maybe I will. The number of people who actually passed away during COVID in a nursing facility, and how so many people just skipped over that. And they raised a question: is it due to the fact that they weren't equipped and had enough staffing to care for those with COVID? Is it because they did not have the skilled nursing facility, the registered nurse, excuse me, or a physician on duty who could immediately identify that this person was dealing with COVID and not something else, and didn't just walk away as to say, oh, let's just give them 2 Tylenols, get their fever down, and hope for the better. I shared this today because it has a lot to do with where we're headed when it comes to election season. So if you aren't a registered voter, I'm going to encourage you to register to vote. You can go to www.vote.gov. Good morning. Is it Marissa? Melissa Johnson says, I have been a full-time caregiver for over 6 years, taking care of Holocaust survivors. Well, thank you for all that you do. Thank you. Good morning, Shirley. Rosanna says, that's horrible. That's why families must be there just about daily. And that's pretty much what our family was doing. Good morning, Kenny Stanley. I let everyone know that you are now a graduate student in seminary, and you will be having your show only on Saturdays at 6:30. I hope you're doing well, getting those papers done, reading those books. Regina says, I hate to say this, however, RNs are sometimes on sideline. They do not want to perform bedside care. Okay. But isn't that where A could come in to assist that? Kim Edmondson says there is a resurgence of COVID in nursing facilities right now. You're right. You're right. I've been watching those. I haven't really shared any numbers yesterday, and I won't share them today, but I've been watching that. Mike Nicholson says the older we get, the more expendable we are, especially people of color. Only the old politicians got dope coverage. Well, there's that. And Kenny says he's on his way to class. So cool, cool, cool. So y'all, these are questions. And, I know it's early in the morning, but we cannot ignore these things at all. We cannot ignore them. Last week, I was, when we returned to our podcast, Politics and Prose, last Friday, I had Pastor Anita Dawson on, Latrice Jones on, and Elizabeth Towns on. And don't miss that podcast. That podcast is available now wherever you listen to podcasts. Listen to that. And then this Friday, I have a serious advocate who gave us some serious nuggets, no matter where you live in the United States of America. That podcast was so powerful. I sent it to my siblings before it was even edited. But it will release this Friday at 7 a.m. The following Friday, we will have 2 employees from the Social Security office. I have to laugh a little bit. I'm really excited to have them. But they're, because it's government, I'm only allowed to ask certain questions. But y'all know me, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to get some other questions in there. But that's going to be not this coming Friday, but the following Friday. And then we're going to have Stephanie Burbridge Hall, both on News in Motion and on Politics and Prose, talking about suicide prevention. Because even in the literature I was reading about the skilled nursing facilities, there's suicide in those skilled nursing facilities because they're just tired. They're tired. They're tired of living the way they're living and no one paying attention to them, especially if they do not have loved ones who is checking on them on a regular basis. Deborah says, my friend is in a facility and she currently has COVID. So in a skilled nursing facility, she currently has COVID. Latrice Jones says, check out Politics and Prose podcast. The Elder Love 101 episode is fire. It was straight fire. And then my client is in an assisted living facility. So y'all, this is hitting a lot of us. That's why I thought it was important to share it here. Now, y'all, before we get up out of here, oh, I got some community news. If you have not um uh subscribed to the e-newsletter, the newsletter from Gail Dudley, do so. You can go to gaildudley.com. I think it's still on the front page. We're reworking the website. I think it's still on the front page. It's free. Register. This week, I will have this information I'm about to share with you in there, along with some other information in a digital download. It's all free. You can get that. But you have to register to get it. So make sure you, or subscribe to get it. Make sure you subscribe. But y'all, from the Library of Congress, there are several paid fellowships, but the applications are due this Friday, but you can still get it done. There's the National Governing Institution Fellowship. Good money there. There's the David B. Larson Fellowship in Health and Spirituality. That's a $5,000 a month stipend. There's another fellowship. It's 11 months. That's a 5,000 monthly stipend. And then there's the Philip Lee Phillips Society Fellowship, and that is $5,750 monthly stipend. So if you get the e-newsletter, all of this will be in there so that you can look it up yourself. But that will be Friday. All right, y'all. So I'll figure out where I can post it so that you all can see it. Maybe I'll post it on the Facebook page, the News in Motion Facebook page with the link so that you can check that out. So I'll get that up there later on this morning. But before we go, again, I hope you've been thinking about, your calling, your purpose, your assignment, and where will you serve. If you went to God right now and said, okay, God, what's my assignment? Are you equipped enough to work within that assignment? Y'all, assignments come and go. They come and they go. And sometimes we want to hold on to it because it has become comfortable to us. But I'm saying, listen, have that discernment, know when to head that way, know when to let it go. Y'all, as of 10 hours ago, there are some talks, but there's a wide divide when it comes to the United Auto Workers Union. Now, they're prepared to strike major U.S. car makers this week. And they're trying to talk to keep it, to try to slow it down and not let it happen. And for those of you who say, well, I have an electric car, it's coming for gas and electric cars. Any type of strike would cause significant disruption for auto production in the United States. About 146,000 U.S. auto workers are set to go on strike this week if General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis fail to meet their demands for a big pay raise and a restoration of concessions workers made years ago when the companies were in financial trouble. Why am I sharing that behind what's your assignment, what's your calling? Some of you have an assignment and have a calling to negotiate. But you're choosing not to use that gift, but that's your gift. I'm convinced, and y'all have heard me say this many times, and Stephanie and I kind of talked about this on Sunday. I'm convinced if we would stop competing with each other and just start operating within that gift and go forth with that gift and not allow intimidation to stop our gift, I believe things like this wouldn't happen because we will be thinking, well, we need to pay our people their worth. We need to pay our people not just their hourly wage, but their worth. What's the hourly pay? What's the worth? What's the poverty level in this area? We got to pay them above that. What's their skill level? How long have they been working on this job? How do we negotiate these things? How do we come together? How do we collaborate? And what does that look like? Latrice says, thank you, Gail, for keeping us informed and pushing us to engage. You are welcome. You are welcome. But we have to move beyond. I think so many people, and Stephanie, I hope you don't mind me sharing this. I think so many people are stuck because we're worried about what somebody else is thinking or saying. We can't operate that way. We cannot operate that way. The other thing is we have to stop thinking we're the only one. There are more people doing some of the same things, and we have to be okay with it. We cannot allow those things to stifle us. So, why I do what I do and why did I revamp it? I told y'all yesterday I had to be true to me and true to the call that God placed on my life. And that's the bottom line. So looking at this, it's one thing to give y'all a whole headline of news. All right, so you got some news headlines. It's something different to say, let's break this down and let's look at why we do some of the things that we do and how we can be a a piece of the fabric that weaves everything together. Stop. I'm going to say we're intimidated, although some people have shared with me that they are. We can't be intimidated when it comes to reaching out to your representative. You put them in office, you're paying their salary. It is what it is. Asking questions. Sometimes it's too late when we find ourselves in a situation and we have to start backtracking. I'm saying go for it. Ask the questions. Show up at the town hall meetings. Write your representatives. If you don't know how to write or what to write, reach out to Deborah Johnson. That's her thing. Reach out to her and say, okay, help me write this letter. Do you have a template, Deb, that we can use to put this letter out there? And I know she did a Wednesday workshop with us before our break. I think it was last June or May or June. Go back through the archives of News in Motion and find that and write those letters. With that, y'all, that's all the news I have today. I will go through some of these comments, and we're trying to respond to some of them throughout the day. We're increasing our work, but again, we want to keep you engaged. We want to know what's your heartbeat, your pulse, your passion, questions you may have, and how we can help answer those questions for the entire community. Which some of your questions will end up. I believe Isaiah still has the phone number. We said y'all can now leave us a voicemail if you don't want to write us. You can leave us a voicemail right there on our Google number, which is 614-441-8178. Y'all just be nice. Just, leave a message, not spam like I received yesterday saying, hey, can I take you out? No, you cannot. I'm married and happy. But this is that number to ask the questions that you have. And then we want you to be our eyes and ears out there. If there's this news story that you want us to report on, and again, we won't report on everything. You can leave us a voicemail or you can email us. If you prefer email, it's newsinmotionwithgail@gmail.com. All right, y'all, that's it. Until our time tomorrow, I want all of you to stay moving and live your life abundantly. We're out.